So some time ago, the brand of Initio Parfums released Rehab, and it instantly became a cult classic and a favorite among perfume connoisseurs and fragrance aficionados. Well, this time they have a brand new fragrance, part of the Hedonist collection, and it is my absolute pleasure to be introducing it to you, and this one is called Musk Therapy, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Musk Therapy by Initio Parfums Musk, part of the Hedonist collection, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews just like this, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and of course, while you're at it, please make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon. Now, before I begin my review, I do want to mention a couple of different things. First things first, there is going to be a giveaway attached to this video, and it is for a 7.5 ml official travel atomizer from the brand, and this is for the fragrance Oud for Greatness. And there's also going to be a giveaway, so one lucky winner is going to win two prizes: the travel atomizer and also a 5 ml decant of Musk Therapy. So you get to try both fragrances, and all you need to do is just leave one comment down below and let me know which Initio Parfums Musk fragrance sounds the most appealing to you. I'm also going to leave the product link for this fragrance down below as well if you are interested in reading up about the product a little bit more. There's also going to be a physical event at the Neiman Marcus in Garden State Plaza in Paramus, New Jersey. I'm going to be at that event. It's going to be on March 19th between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. I'm going to leave all of the information to that down below as well. I would love it if you could attend. I am going to be giving a live demonstration of the brand. We'll have the opportunity to discuss all of the brand's fragrances there in person as well. So if you can make it and you live in the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania tri-state area, I would love it if you could come out. So Musk Therapy, part of the Hedonist collection, is of course, as the name implies, a musky perfume. As a matter of fact, there are a couple different varieties of musk in here, all of which are synthetic. So there's white musk, there's also pink musk or rose musk, and there's also another ingredient in here that's giving it a bit of a musky vibe. But to say that this is a singular composition would not be doing it justice. It is a complex fragrance. At times it smells fruity, at times it smells musky, at times it smells milky and a little lactonic, but then there's an ample amount of sweetness in the base as well, given to some ingredients that are not perhaps listed in the note breakdown. And I should also mention that while this did become available about a week ago, I actually initially smelled this one back in the beginning of January when I met up with some of the folks over at Initio Parfums Musk. So I'm so excited to be introducing you to the smell of this one, and I have a really good feeling that you will like it and that it's also going to become quite popular in the years to come. But let's start things off with the presentation. So the opening of this fragrance is very warm and inviting. I know there's bergamot in here, but nothing about it is too bright or too effervescent. As a matter of fact, the overall profile that this fragrance gives off is one that is very warm, clean, but also vanillic and kind of smooth, sweet, a little lactonic. And I thought about it and I'm like, what is giving that sort of milky quality in this fragrance, which I think is perfectly conveyed by the color of the bottle. And if I can also draw another distinction, if you take a look at Rehab, Rehab has a silver plate on the front as opposed to Musk Therapy, which has a gold plate on the front. And so if you do see the bottle in person, you'll be able to make that distinction. But There is something milky about this fragrance, and it could be the musks, it could be something else that's in here, but there's also this creamy sandalwood texture in the base, which I think is so amazing. And whenever I encounter sandalwood in perfume, sometimes it could be a little bit more on the woodsy, dry side. Sometimes it can be a little bit more on the sweet side. And I'm also convinced there's a little bit of vanilla in the base as well. It's not listed in the note breakdown, but I am getting this undertone of sweetness, which I think is a perfect complement to the sandalwood that is being used in here. Now, the bergamot is very short-lived. It just sort of lures you in the introduction for the first few minutes, and then you have this white magnolia note, which I think adds cleanliness and purity to the composition. But I'd be remiss if I don't mention some of the other ingredients in here, namely one ingredient which I really think is contributing to that musky olfactive texture, and it is the note of cassis, aka black currant. Now, I have smelled cassis in its pure form, and it does in fact come across smelling a little bit musky. If you look up the odor profile of the ingredient, you'll see some really unusual descriptors, but in this fragrance it does come across smelling rather clean, and the cassis is really at the fore of this fragrance. So it's a really milky and musky fragrance, very unique. I've smelled a lot of other fragrances that contain a lactonic accord or that smell lactonic or butyric. I've smelled Quilombo by Fueguia. There's also Diesel Plus Masculine, if I'm remembering the name of that correctly. That also had a little bit of a milky profile, but this definitely stands out because it's more natural smelling, it's more complex, it's more unique in the sense that it doesn't smell mass manufactured or mass marketed. It has a very sort of deliberate olfactive profile that you can tell took a little bit of time to put together. And so this is really quite a special blend, and I'm a big fan of this one, to be honest with you. So as it compares to Rehab, I think there's that sort of element of purity that is kind of the overtone or the leitmotif among the hedonist collection, and especially if you are into some of the narcotic fragrances from the collection, if you're into Side Effect and Absolute Aphrodisiac and all of these other fragrances, now all of a sudden you get to experience that sort of cleansing aspect of it, and you get to sort of enjoy and bask in something that's a little bit more on the pure side, not something that's boozy or tobacco rich or heavy in some of these other ingredients. This one is very soft, smooth, but that does not speak to the longevity of the fragrance. So the aromatic profile of the fragrance is on the soft and smooth side, but in terms of the longevity, this one has really, really good longevity. So I'm not sure if the musks or some other ingredients in the base are contributing to that, but the fixatives being used in here are quite successful in the sense that I actually sprayed this one on the back of my hand a couple days ago, and the very next morning I was still able to smell it. And it was very peculiar because I'm getting whiffs and traces of something sweet in the air, and I thought maybe I had a candle burning or something like that. I smelled my hand. I was actually still able to smell it the following morning. So this is a really interesting fragrance, a really interesting combination of the sandalwood, the cassis, the bergamot, the magnolia, the musk, of course, which a lot of these ingredients, including the musks and the magnolia, kind of trigger the pleasure centers of the brain. And that's one of the things that, Initio is always after. And so I find this to be a very special perfume. If you have the opportunity to try it, I know it's available now. I don't know how many bottles they have in stock, but all of the information is going to be down below. And I think that this one is going to be receiving a lot of praise in the months/years to come. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I personally find this fragrance to be very unique in the sense that I can't compare it to anything else that I've tried before, but also the aroma is very welcoming, it's very inviting, very agreeable, and it does actually give off a very pleasant and very pure impression, and I think it's a very likable DNA. And so I find it highly likely that if you smell this one, you are going to love it, you are going to enjoy it thoroughly, as I have, And actually my wife, when she smelled it for the first time a few days ago, she really enjoyed this one too. And she specifically said, make sure you keep this bottle upstairs, because I film my videos in my basement. She said, make sure you keep this bottle upstairs because I want to wear it too. So my wife is a huge fan of this one. Very well done. Kudos to the brand Initio Parfums Musk. You have a really wonderful release here. In terms of the longevity on this one, I mean, like I said, it lasted on my skin overnight, but I think realistically speaking, you're going to get about 8 to 10 hours with this one, especially depending on where you apply it. If you apply it on a high contact area, or if you find yourself washing your hands a lot. Now, if you put it on clothing, forget it. It's going to last until you wash that shirt easily a couple of times. So the longevity on this one is really good. There's just something really resolute and really dynamic in the base that's contributing to that amazing longevity. In terms of the projection, I got noticed in the first 2 to 2.5 hours. I was in the car with my wife and she said, wow, it's still radiating off your skin. And so we rolled the windows down at one point. It was funny, but we really enjoyed the smell of this one, and it's quite a potent fragrance. One might say perhaps not as potent as Oud for Greatness. That's just because it has a bit of a different olfactive profile. Oud for Greatness is very dark, oudy, spicy, saffron, so on and so forth. But this one, for a musk-based fragrance, is very long-lasting, very good longevity, very good projection. Versatility is also great too. I think there's something about the magnolia and the musks that makes me feel like, oh, I would love to wear this one in the hotter weather. But because the performance is so good, I can see myself wearing this one in the colder weather as well. It's perfectly unisex. I think that slight sweetness attributed to whatever vanilla is used in here, but also the sandalwood, is something that would cater to the taste and sentiments of somebody who's a little bit younger. But then I can also see somebody who's a little bit older enjoying this one as well, just because it does give off an air of sophistication about it with the cassis and the musks, and you can tell there's a complexity in the composition too. In terms of the presentation, I do quite like it. I also like the name, how first we had rehab and now we're in therapy. So I don't know if that was intentional or not. I'm pretty sure it was, but I think that that was pretty cool too. I like it when a brand actually gives thought to the names of the fragrances, as opposed to naming them like Rose Musk or Violet Dream or something like that. I feel like that's kind of an easy way out, but nevertheless, I digress. My final verdict on this fragrance is, I find this to be an amazing fragrance. I am really a fan of this one, and I think Initio did a wonderful job with this fragrance, and I'm always looking forward to see what they're going to come out with next. Hopefully they come out with another fragrance in the Oud collection, because I know that's kind of a loner, and that's the only one in that collection with the sacred geometry and the beautiful presentations on the ornate bottle. But nevertheless, I do hope you have an opportunity to try Musk Therapy if and when it does become available in stores. Of course, just to remind you, there is going to be an event at Garden State Plaza in Paramus, New Jersey at Neiman Marcus on March 19th between the hours of 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. I really hope you can make it. You will be able to smell this fragrance there. I will be there for the whole 3 hours, and so if you do have a little bit of free time in your schedule, definitely stop by and say hello. I would love to see you in person and put a face to the name. So thanks again for watching. Please leave a comment down below with what your favorite Initio fragrance is, and that will enter you in the giveaway for a 7.5 ml official travel atomizer of Oud for Greatness, but also a 5 ml of the brand new Musk Therapy. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and while you're at it, of course, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you soon. Bye.